Okay, so this is how it can work in Sweden when you apply for a license for a rifle. So I applied for a license for a single shot 50 BMG rifle with no magazine, a Fort Meyer 2002 model. It's not a cheap rifle, it's a very expensive rifle. And it's big and it's unwieldy and it's only good for one thing: long range target shooting. So this is a letter from the Swedish police. It's a communication, that's what that means. Before they deny your license application, they send a communication, and you have 2 weeks to answer that communication, and then they send the official denial of the application. And it doesn't really matter what you write in the as an answer to the communication, because they never give a shit. It has basically never happened that they changed their mind. And when I get the official denial, I'll get to appeal to the courts, and then we'll see what they have to say about it. Anyway, they said some they said some really silly things in this paper about why this rifle is not good for target shooting, because they argue that the rifle in itself is not a good target shooting rifle, and that's why you should not have it. That's the argument. There's no real legal argument against it, because in Sweden, because if you want to have a rifle for target shooting, you need to be a member of a shooting club for 6 months, and the shooting club then sets some requirements on the person for what he has to do before he can apply for a license. And then he applies for a license, and the shooting club sends in a confirmation that he actually needs this rifle for target shooting in the shooting club. And that's the legal requirements for owning a rifle, and that's any kind of rifle except fully automatic rifles. So semi-autos and bolt-action rifles or lever-action or whatever, it's the same. Anyway, this is a bolt-action rifle without a magazine. That's very heavy, very big, and probably the nicest rifle you can own. If you look at how scary it is, because it's big and it's heavy, and it's only good for laying in prone position on a shooting range and fire at very long ranges. That's all it's good for, basically. So there's no criminal that could ever have any practical use for this rifle in any way. I have no idea why they're trying to deny me this, but I'll go through the reasons anyway. This rifle is supposed to be a military rifle. Okay, there's no law against using semi-auto rifles that has any military connection for target shooting. There's no law for a bolt-action rifle with a military history, because basically all bolt-actions have a military history since Mauser. Anyway, this rifle is specially designed by a German gunsmith for target shooting. It has no real military precursor, because it has no magazine. All military rifles basically has magazines, and this does not. So there's no military precursor rifle for this. It's completely designed by this German gunsmith for target shooting at long ranges. So it has nothing to do with military weapons. So that's basically the police lying through their teeth. And this is really fun. They say that a pistol grip makes it so you don't have to fire a weapon by holding it to the shoulder. I'm not sure why this would be an issue, because this rifle is, as they are saying, too big and heavy to even fire without from a bench or from a prone position. So that's basically just ergonomics. You have to have a pistol rifle because it's easier than holding like this. And if you have an ordinary, well, they're all called pistol handles, but in Swedish anyway. But if you have this angle, like the ordinary woodstock hunting rifle or a Mauser, it's easier to fire from the hip, basically. You can see the angle it's more ergonomic to fire from the hip with an ordinary hunting rifle grip. So I'm not sure what they're after here, but it's really stupid. Anyway, a 50 BMG rifle, you have to have it firmly against the shoulder because of the recoil. It's so stupid. I'm not sure. Anyway, next thing they take up is the hand. It's a free-floating tube gun. So there's a tube around the barrel to make it free-floating. And they say this is for putting up lasers and flashlights and whatever on the tube. But I'm not sure. Even on a wood stock you can put up a bipod or a laser or a rifle. Just put a rail on the tree forend or something. You can do that with any kind of stock. So I'm not sure why this would be an issue. The only reason there's a tube around the barrel is because it's easier to make it free-floating. And that's for that's just that's a feature to make the rifle a better target shooting rifle, basically. So the barrel harmonics isn't disturbed by the stock. So that's just making the rifle a better target shooting rifle. So they're stupid, and why would anyone want a laser on a long range target shooting rifle? That's something for CQB rifles like handguns or MP5s or something that the police use. And there's zero reasons for a sports shooter to have those things. And this one I like. Big heavy weapons are not fit for target shooting. Why would that be? Have they ever heard of bench rest shooting, for example? So that's silly. Yeah, it's a big heavy gun, of course. That just makes it an even better target shooting rifle, because a big heavy gun doesn't have much recoil, less recoil at least, and stuff like that. And it's only ever going to be used in a prone position or from a shooting bench. So it doesn't matter if I have to use a wheelbarrow to get it to the shooting range. Who cares? It's just going to lay there prone and shoot. So it has zero reasons to be unfit for target shooting, just because of that. And now they're telling me that 50 BMG is a military cartridge. Of course it is. And so it's 30-06, 6.5 by 55, 308, 762 by 51, 223, 556, 9mm, 45, 45-70. Basically all calibers are military calibers, or have been military calibers. That's not a reason to deny. And all these military calibers, of course, have armor-piercing ammunition and tracer rounds and whatever it is. But all those special military cartridges are worthless for target shooting. So why would anyone want to use those? And it's not just 50 BMG that has this kind of bullets. And if I get this rifle, I would make my own ammunition. I would buy specific powder, specific bullets, buy specific casings and specific primers for target shooting, and make my own ammunition in a press. Boom. That's basically what you have to do for this, because there's no target ammunition to buy for this. You have to make it yourself. And then they say the caliber shoots long and is very powerful. Okay, of course it is, and that's the reason I want it. Because I want to target shoot at long range. We're actually building a 1 kilometer or about 1,000 yards shooting range now, just for this purpose. And the last reason is our shooting club doesn't have this kind of shooting, and we don't have access to a shooting range for this purpose, or that we're allowed to shoot this caliber at. And of course we have, and of course we do. So they're just making shit up again. So I told them that this is not relevant for my case. This is basically silly reasons, most of them, and they have no idea what they're talking about. And they're gonna deny me this license anyway. They don't care. Because that's how the police works in a socialist country where the state has all the power and the people have zero. So I feel like Don Quixote fighting against the windmills, but when you know you're right, you have to fight the power or something. It's just silly, because I have the laws on my side, and the police just make shit up to deny me stuff. So what can you do? You have to fight. But by now it's become almost a hobby of mine to fight the police for every single license. It's half the fun when you get the rifle to have won against the police. But they never give up, and they have this for work. They do this all day, and I just do this on my spare time. This is my hobby. I don't have the energy to fight the police for every single thing. But when I know in my heart that I'm right and the police is wrong, it's hard not to fight. And it's really silly, because when the police actually breaks the law and discriminate my shooting club and the free gatherings of my shooting club, it breaks against our constitution, it breaks against the rules set up to the police that they should follow, it breaks the laws that governs how these kind of things are supposed to be handled. It breaks every kind of law, and that makes me not give a shit about the law, basically, because I know I have no rights, and the police doesn't give a fuck about the laws. No one gives a fuck about the laws, especially not the criminals that the police are supposed to catch. So it makes it really hard to be a law-abiding citizen in this country when the police doesn't give a shit about the laws. And that's really sad, because I like to live in a country where the rule of law is actually something you can rely on. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, the stuff I take up here. The police is basically incompetent. I think Sweden has the worst police force in the entire world now. If you look at how many crimes they actually solve. So they're totally incompetent from the top down, and this is just one aspect of it. So it's really sad, and that's the state of the police in Sweden, at least for getting licenses. Well, thank you for letting me rant a bit, if you managed to watch all this. I hope you're not as depressed as I'm starting to be. Okay, have a nice day.